There's political debate. Rounding home late is Mashani Spartan. Coming home late is Sharp and Smart. In front is political debate from Sharp and Smart. Political debate, Sharp and Smart. The outside lunges. Ortophoto.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I'm joined in studio by Johnny Waltz. He's had a rough week. How are you?
Good. I'm back here. Melbourne for another 12 hours. That was 11 3/4 too many. Got handled at the... Get straight off the plane. I'm there on the phone to someone. Beck's like, I said, oh, where's the taxi rank? The guy goes, oh, mate, I'll show you where it is. Old $150 private car to the 15-minute drive. Yeah, I got handled within 10 seconds like a tourist. Back to the Gold Coast where everyone here, there's no one trying to hand you on the Gold Coast, mate. You know, those days are gone. This is bright and sunny and cheery on the Gold Coast.
I was a bit worried. There's a siege in Nerang. I thought you might have got tangled up in that.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, there's a siege. So they can't close the
orangutans are gone.
Yeah, that's
wild.
northern Gold Coast. That's up your way. So I'm going to stay south.
That's west, mate. That's west. We don't go across the highway. We don't go across the highway.
Oh, a bit of a shout out to Benny, our punting friend who had a bit of a rough week health-wise. So fingers crossed he's on the comeback trail and he might come up for some R&R at your place.
He'll be here for quite a while, but I thought he was Gary Gorn come Monday, but he's making a comeback. Good on him.
Outstanding stuff. We've got TRISTAN MERLAHAN going to join us to talk about POC tax, so we'll cross to him soon. But how's life in Melbourne, DK?
I'm struggling actually today. And I'm not talking about the punt. I got a bit ahead of myself in the kids versus dads footy training last night, and one of the biggest kid in the team flushed a ball straight into my jam tart. And I went down, and it fucking sore as, and I bruised like a shock and bruised. I hope it was just bruised ribs or something around the jam tart, Nico. But if I hit the neck, you're up for CPR, Nico. So, how do you feel? I don't know how you feel about that, but that'll be your go.
Gee, a lot of responsibility coming down here in Melbourne at the moment. Gee, that's not too good, DK.
Mate. I am for I don't feel more than I'm 47 or 27 or 37 anymore this morning, I tell you. Oh, sore ribs. But I hope the jam tart's all right. That's the only thing. Anyway, how are you, Nico?
He must have pinpoint accuracy, the kid. That's all I'm saying.
What, you say the size of a peach? Well, is that what you say?
Oh, that's a bit rough on a pea.
Nico, are you back to winner this weekend? Can we change the subject here? I've played myself into that.
Yesterday was a strip out at Sale, so hoping to bounce back at Swan Hill this weekend with the big carnival down there.
Yeah,
and then
Swan Hill.
Sandown as well. Swan Hill may be the only dry track in all of Australia, the way we're going in Melbourne.
They had to do the old switcheroo today.
Oh.
It's gone the old heavy late change to the synthetic and 800 scratchings. So
yesterday was just a race to the outside fence, so I'm a bit over wet tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a start of winter. That's
you're over them. We're 6 months deep. You're 3 minutes in. Are you serious? Mate, we've got a soft 6 on a Thursday at Randwick, and I don't know what to do. I don't know. What do you do with a 6? That's nearly dry.
Tapping out.
Interesting start to the show. It's sort of, remember shades of, remember DK ate that pizza and he fell off the toilet and he came in and showed us the busted toilet seat
You're not allowed
photo?
to talk about toilets,
That's
mate.
it.
Hey?
You're not allowed to talk about toilets, toilet doors. You're not allowed to go there.
Oh, no, we're not allowed, are we?
No.
I don't know what we're allowed to talk about. TRISTAN MERLAHAN's been online for quite some time. He's a busy man. I think he does 800,000 crosses per week, so it's good to have him back. Couldn't get him in the studio, even though we live about 5 minutes apart now. But welcome, TRISTAN, Managing Director of TopSport. How are you, mate?
Yeah, g'day, Scoot. It's been a very enjoyable start to the show. It's good to hear a few of the stories that are happening around the nation. And, hopefully the DK's heart is on the up as well.
Yeah, he's the dodgy ticket's thrown us all. But usually it's a smoother start than that. So we'll zip into it quickly. And I guess the major news across the land has been, the rise in prize money for a lot of races. Even over the ditch in New Zealand, they're starting to bump prize money. So naturally, punters have to pay for that. And I see Queensland Racing have increased the POC tax from 15 to 20%. And it's going to affect the punters because bookmakers are forced to pass the costs on. How much worse off will punters be simply?
Yeah, it's a tricky one to identify at the moment. We're still trying to get our heads around it. I think the biggest surprising factor was that normally when there's a change at this ilk, there's a discussion and there's a bit of back and forth, but it was sort of thrown to us without any warning, which is interesting. And now we've got to go and actually work out what we've got to do to counter it, because ultimately, we don't want to be offering worse prices or we don't want to be offering worse products. But when you're forced, because it's not just a 5% increase, which I think people are seeing it's 15 to 20%, but the reality was prior, the bonus bets weren't taxed. So it was really about a net. I think it was about a net 11 or a net 12, something like that. So it's almost doubled the tax in real figures. So obviously,
it's closer to 100% than 5, which is what they publicise. Yeah, it's just a slight difference.
It is a slight difference, and it's one of those ones. Now we're not going to make any rash decisions, but we're going to just have to go through and identify the difficulties and work out where we go. But like from our perspective, we're not against prize money increases. We're not against the money being used the right way, but I just hope it doesn't go down the way of these pop-up races and the reckless use of money, because it ultimately needs to be sustainable, and that's the problem. Where it goes to, we're still trying to work everything out.
Just on that consultation bit, Scoot, now, I don't need probably Tristan to comment on this, but I think there was consultation, and reading the press release and everything, and I think there was consultation with Tabcorp. There was definitely consultation with Tabcorp about the thing, and then you give us $100 million for this one-off payment, and we're going to put in for infrastructure, and how can we do this and that? And then Tabcorp, Adam says, it's great, we're going to make those corporates pay their fair share. So I'm tipping there was some consultation with them, just nobody else. That's just my comment anyway.
Yeah, no, I reckon you're exactly right. And obviously the Tab are a very sizable operation, and the other thing that's come into it as well is that they no longer have the sole rights to the sponsorships of the racetrack. So there's going to be benefits there for some of the bigger operators to get involved there too. So there will be some more money in that space. But ultimately, what you guys are worried about and what the punters are worried about is how it's going to affect them. And there's just no way it can't have a negative effect on the punters.
We've got a couple of questions, and I've tried to just summarise a couple of the key points and questions. So one was from Nigel. I thought this was a good one. Will the tax affect Queensland punters only, or will it flow on to others given TopSport's likely price adjustments? So if I'm now based in Queensland, am I worse off, or does everyone get the price adjustment there, Tristan, or cop the wrath of worse products?
Yeah, we'll just say in layman's terms so people actually understand, a point of consumption tax is actually taxed on where you live. So it's not based on Queensland racing, despite all the money getting thrown into Queensland racing. It's if you're a Queensland, you're betting on the NBA, or if you're betting on the EPL, you're getting taxed on that business. But ultimately, we can't provide, and we don't want to. And I think it's great that you can't provide different odds to different people. So unfortunately, it's going to mean that everyone's going to get affected negatively, probably on the likelihood of the Queensland racing. That's how it seemed to have been a trend in years gone by, where you focus on the metropolitan meeting of the state where the impost hits.
Fitzy from Twitter asked, does the Bob best of the best product stay? So that's the tote price or the best fluck on the metros and the stronger meeting. So is that something that's still viable, and how will that be affected?
Yeah, well, that's another one we're considering. And ultimately for us, that's one of our premium products. That's one of our products that we use as a differentiator to really give punters value. The reality and the difficulty with that product is that it's taxed on a tote basis, and the tote basis is taxed higher than a fixed odds bet as well. So unfortunately, it's going to be almost impossible to make that work. To me, I think it's an important one that stays in the landscape, and it allows the professionals and the bigger punters to get set at the highest price. A real simple way to counter this, because what I'm hoping might happen is what happened in South Australia, where the racing bodies actually made some positive changes on the back of this and were reactive to these changes. We've still got a month before it kicks in, but maybe something as subtle as shifting the way that product is taxed from a tote product to a fixed odds, where the reality is the vast majority of the winners are top fluck anyway, might be a subtle way that they can keep that product in play.
It's such a convenience product. Like, I've got kids now, so to just be able to put best of the best on and not sit around and wait, in terms of a turnover thing, it's a great product, because I don't have to sit there and try and fish the market out. So I'm more likely to have more bets throughout the day if I can just sort of set and forget and leave
especially when the market is so volatile now, even metro racing far more than it's ever been. So how the hell, and it does, if you're a chance of missing a price or having to sit there and handle it, you most of the time you're just going to say too hard and brass it. But if you've got that option, it's obviously, far more appealing than any other option. Like even top fluck, it goes off early, which is known to happen. Someone smart comes in, that's it. You've got the backup of the tote. So yeah, it'll be a big one to lose.
You're just beside yourself. A horse is $8, not a bet. Then it gets out to $15 at the death because other people don't like it, and you just miss it altogether. You mentioned earlier the bonus bets are now under the POC tax. What does that mean in simple terms?
Yeah, so what that means in simple terms is you're paying, based on the revenue and the turnover from bonus bets results, which is not ideal, because ultimately bonus bets are then meant to attract people back to the game and to turn over money in that state or on that venue, and this is a real sizable increase, which has probably gone under the radar, and it in all likelihood is going to mean that Queenslanders receive a lot less bonus bets, not just from us, but from around from everyone. So it certainly isn't what I would think is the best way to attract and increase turnover, and that's the thing. The people making these decisions need to be mindful of, because you can raise the percentage, and in theory we're going to make X amount more, but if it has a negative impact on turnover, what's the net gain? And are we losing people to our sport? Like, you look at a game last night with Origin, where we're betting $1.93 markets, we're guaranteeing everyone to win 50,000 on game day, and it's because we're able to do that under the fee structure. We're not going to be able to do that on Queensland racing. And are people going to switch from betting on racing to footy or to basketball and these sort of things? So that's what there should have been consultation, because there's so many sliding doors when these things happen, and it's not just a straight yes or no answer.
The whole industry, right, should be targeting lowest possible taxes everywhere with highest possible turnover. Like, most products available to punters at the lowest possible margin for the consumers. Like, that's the only thing that possibly makes sense. Like, and then you can go up from there. But like, that's the problem. They're getting to such heights now where I don't understand how these 70 little bookmakers are even opening their doors. Like, they've sorely got to shut down. And when you've got sort of Tristan's at the height and medium to high end, I'm sure, of the market, even they're under pressure. So, and the punters are getting hammered. So where does it go?
There needs to be some thresholds in place. Like, the reality is these decisions are being made because they're looking at some of the real high volume and big margin operators, but they're not bookmaking in the way we do. We're letting everyone on every product, where we're being as fair as we possibly can be, and that has an impact on our margins. And there just needs to be different tiers. And if you're going to bookmake in the right way, like we try to, then maybe there needs to be some differences, and that might encourage some other bookmakers to potentially raise their MBLs, to potentially do this, there just needs to be some thinking outside of the box, because we need to be looking at ways to increase turnover, not just putting a higher rate and seeing a negative influence on it.
So do you think, and I'm definitely not putting you in this category, because like you're saying, you're actually a bookmaker, which is pretty much the essence of it, but is the trade-off that these racing bodies seem to have done? They've put these huge high POC on, but they've given these corporates so much control to limit people who can possibly win off them. So they've basically turned them into big poker machines, the big guys. They're just big marketing poker machines that can handle the recreational punters and win their percentage off them to cover these taxes. But that's their trade-off. Rather than do it properly, that's kind of how it's gone, and it's just such a lazy, weird way to do it.
Like you've just hit the nail on the rattle. But the reality is it's lazy, and there needs to be some more innovative ways to tax it. Like, I'm all for more prize money, but you can't have a business where if a customer's losing 6 or 7% to us, they're not profitable. Like, that is just the worst outcome you can have, because these are the type of customers. The ones that are breaking square or winning 1% or winning 2%, they're the champions of this industry. And we need those punters out there getting more people involved. We need them treated fairly. We need them to be able to get set when they want to. At the moment, they can't, because of the way these taxes are. And you're right, there's a trade-off there. Everyone's just trying to make their business run at 10 or 15%, which is the worst thing that you can have for this industry.
Once upon a time, you couldn't lose 15% because the products were so good. Everyone was wanting people to turn money over, and as a punter, like, it's the glory days are gone. But you had to be like Stevie Wonder could lose at 15%. Now it's not easy, and you say they're the clients that you desiring is 15 or more. It's just mad. And like, if you're losing at 15%, your money's running out.
And you're leaving the industry, and that's what we don't want either. You want people to stay and have a good experience and actually get value for their money, and that's the problem we're coming up against. And the thing is, we had that sugar hit of COVID, and we had all these issues 3 years ago. We were very vocal in how ways we could fix it, and then because everyone's seen a spike on the back of what occurred, everyone thinks the problem's solved. It hasn't.
And they want more of it. That's right. Yeah. And now, like interest rates, lettuces are $10. Like, it's coming. It's coming. And you know, are they going to reverse these taxes? Absolutely not.
No, exactly. Once they seem to only go one way. So I spoke to one of, I guess, Australia's biggest punters and got a quote from him. And
DK?
And he bets a little bit bigger than DK, but his response was, it's bitterly disappointing. The sooner we migrate the business from Australian Racing Central to global, the better, which is a really big worry for mine. And we've already seen probably one of the biggest players leave the market altogether, and that was done probably 18 months ago. It's an interesting one now, though, with other states. You see everyone's sort of trying to, I guess, put their product in the limelight. You saw the Stradbroke have their barrier draw at Town Hall and all those sort of things. So I just can't see how other states aren't going to follow. And there was a good question from Wagering Edge asking, do you fear that other states will just all now bump and race to these higher POC thresholds, Tristan?
Oh, you think there's a real risk of that because, as I touched on, the reality is a lot of people outside of Queensland are going to be negatively affected. So these other states can be like, well, why are we holding our ground when we can probably do the same thing? And it's just going to have a snowball effect. It's going to have a domino effect. And before we know it, everyone's going to be around that 15, 20% mark, and there's going to be a massive problem. And as you say, there's 70-odd bookmakers out there. How are they going to survive? Like they don't realise this until they get going. And that's the last thing we want, people dropping off. And from a punting point of view, you need more competition. You need people to be pushing the boundaries, trying to give punters a better product. And it just isn't viable for a lot of operators at the moment.
It seems like they're happy to have 4 or 5 big ones that are betting 150. And if you're dumb enough to cop it, you know, and they'll just hope that their marketing just keeps bringing new people into it. And that's it. And that's not the worst way.
Be interesting to see what happens, though, because I think the bonus bet thing will catch a lot of those.
But all they'll do is limit the bonus bet. So they'll take bonus bets of everyone and give them to the premium customers. They'll just be more selective. So it just takes away from the medium people. You know, you fight the ones that Tristan's talking about, your sort of 0 to 10s that everyone should be living off, and the money should be going around. They'll just be, you know, they'll just have it taken away.
DK and Nico, any questions?
Two major concerns would be on that topic of the big guys, that they use their scale to keep squeezing the smaller ones. You know, I know the mentality of sports betting, that's all about scale, and then they can sort of incorporate these small or these extra costs a lot better than the other guys and keep betting similar prices and products and make the smaller guys keep chasing them and squeeze them tighter and tighter. So that'll be, as again, and how do they survive? That's the first one. And then I'd have real concerns about the exchange. I mean, how the hell does the exchange keep going? And if these POC taxes all get to 15 and 20% in every state, the way that, you know, it's just, there's something something has to real change there. And we've seen what happens if it goes down. It went down in that Warrnambool Carnival that time, and you know they worked out how much turnover it drives. So they're my two big concerns on them. What about you, Nico?
I'm just happy sitting here listening at the moment. It's very informative. The stuff you're talking about, yeah, I think the exchange is definitely a big one, especially for Queensland and sort of how that's sort of viable going forward for them.
You put the commission out. You can't, because as Tristan said, I mean, everyone's got to get his head. It's where the bet is struck. It's not, they can't just go raising the commission on Queensland racing, because the Queensland people might be betting in Melbourne. It's where the bet is struck is where the tax is taken from. So that's why you can't just go and put up, as he said, I can't just go and put up extra 5% into races on Queensland, because it's the Queensland punters betting everywhere else. So that's not the answer. So it's one thing you've got to get your head around. It's not just the jurisdiction, can't just bang it into the percentages on that certain jurisdiction. It's got to be across the board. So it's really tricky. Really tricky.
Why is the exchange not the golden goose of the whole industry? Why is it not the most protected part? Why is it not the part that is helped to grow? Like, do they not understand that every dollar in there drives $10? Every other corporate, every other. It's just why they're trying to destroy the most pure part of the industry. And I don't mean that from a grade up perspective, but it is the lifeblood of the industry, and they've got no idea. It's like when DK got it in the heart yesterday. That's what they're doing.
I couldn't agree more. Like, obviously they're a competitor of ours, but I've got so much respect for them, and they're so important to what we do. And, an exchange needs to be taxed differently, whether it be on footy. Like, you've seen the impact the NRL's had. And if, like, from our perspective, we're so much more comfortable and confident taking a bigger bet if we know that there's liquidity in that exchange. And it's not that we're going to go and dump it and move it on or do whatever. We just know that, okay, this price is really solid at this point, and we're then leveraging up our holds, which help everyone. And if that disintegrates, everyone's in the same boat. And we have our prices. We feel we're quite skilled to trade him, and some of the others potentially don't have that there, and they completely lose absolute faith. So it needs to be protected to the absolute nth degree.
Fast forward, say, 5 or 10 years, it's not out of the realms of possibility that the majority of the holds are going to be offshore, and then you're going to be dealing in crypto and those sort of opportunities. I'm sure blokes like Tristan and other smart operators out there would start to be thinking that their future may lie away from Australia. Similar to this punter, like they're just going to be more a global platform and then try and operate away from the handcuffs and the confines of this taxing structure, because it's impossible. How it all evolves.
It'll be either that or it won't be here. The way this is unfolding, but what's the logic behind all of it? Where's the logic? And the most incredible part is Queensland's had a long period of time to make this decision, and they're still coming to it. So it's just so scary that whoever's in charge of all of these decisions currently don't like prize money. You put that race up to $10 million. What does it do?
Yeah, exactly.
What does it do for anyone?
Yeah.
And if anything, it drives, yielding price. It drives prices up in the industry, squeezes more people
to get
out.
into the game.
There is no positive for the industry in prize money going through the roof. It should be at a reasonable level that's sustainable, but low, and the rest of the money should be driven into the industry, educating punters, educating riders, educating trainers, educating
or back
everybody.
into maidens. The $2 million would be better spent in maidens. I think in your chat group, someone worked out that you could throw an extra $5,000 across every maiden in New South Wales, which
from that,
that alone. So
maiden should be close to the highest prize money race on a card. You need to keep driving fresh money. Yeah, and tracks, Jesus Christ, you can start from anywhere, but the money's just going in the wrong places.
All right. Well, Tristan, we could talk. Yeah, it's probably its own separate show, and a lot of people talk about punter pressure groups and lobbies and taking strike action and all that sort of stuff. Imagine if we could actually find a way to turn off the lights for a Saturday. I think you guys would be supportive of it, and a lot of bookies would too, to, I guess, end the rot. But I'm not sure where it's going to finish this. But I appreciate your insights, and hopefully the punters at home can get their heads around it and have understood where you guys are coming from and where we're coming from, and understand the POC tax. So thanks for your time.
Thanks, good. And I think just the most important thing, it's not us whinging and carrying on. It's because it's a negative effect on the punters. And that's what we're just trying to do our bit to make sure we can offer sustainable products. So thanks for your time, guys, and we'll chat soon.
Keep fighting, mate.
Looking forward to it. There you go. So that's TopSport. Make sure you get around them. They're our major sponsor. They take on our big bets for the syndicates. And as Tristan says, they take on everyone. So they're the guys that put the shoulders back and have a crack. So if you want to get set for big amounts, that's their business model. And they understand the game and understand how turnover works. So you'd be mad not to sign up and support them because they're doing it the right way.
Sorry, Scoot, just on that, understanding the game and turnover, I think that's one thing at least in Victoria, and possibly you can put V'landys in that bracket, is at least we've got a racing minister in Pakula who understands the game. All right. Now, it feels like in South Australia and Queensland, they don't have that. They've just got bureaucrats making decisions, At least in Victoria, we've got a great history of having good racing ministers. Him, Dennis Napthine, really good, love racing, close to the sport. So I think that's some upside down here, but it's hard to, that they're only in position for a certain amount of time and things can change.
Yeah, the thing that scares me with this latest one, obviously I come from a Betfair background, and that's how New South Wales did all their price changes. They just rammed them through. And obviously the only people that consult on the down low would be New South Wales TAB, given their long partnership with them. And I just think it's counterproductive. I've always said that the Victorian way has been more inclusive, and they just seem more progressive than the other states. And it's no wonder. It's a more digestible product from end to end, racing in Victoria, from their presentation on racing.com, their taxation. They just seem more longer term and a slower burn. But
I understand that a governing body is the one that puts them in place, but the decision affects the whole industry and flows on for how many, 300,000 people employed in this industry in Australia or whatever it is. It affects all of them and sooner rather than later.
Exactly. And then so our business, everyone's business can't grow, and that we're all trying to grow it, and we're trying to, I guess, make everyone's churn rate or keep people in the game for longer, whether it be betting on it, racing a horse, like anything. And at the moment, it's just starting to become more and more unattainable and more expensive to play, which is crazy because there's so many other entertainment avenues out there that
Well, it scares me that we're having press conferences to celebrate rises in prize money when 99 out of 100 people in the industry are having a heart attack that they can either sustain what they're doing currently or that even business is going to be here in the next 5 to 10 years. So who's right? The one that's jumping up and down celebrating, or the 99 that are at Centrelink trying to get, some sort of subsidies?
80% since 2015. Did I read that right? Prize money's gone up.
Yep.
80% in 7 years.
What the hell?
Fair enough. They're rewarding the industry for how they performed during COVID and things like this. But it's hard to see.
Can you run a stat for me on the average price of yearling from 2015 to 2022 now? I reckon it'd be pretty in line.
Be in line, yeah.
I don't know what I saw. I think 7 years ago, Chris Waller was 114 a day. What's he now per day? What would
he's actually pretty good. I think he tries to keep it like it's still gone up, but it's not insane. Like there's the
other trainers are up to two. They're 180 plus GST is probably the max.
Wow.
So
the big
country
ones
training now is it's often over 100 a day. Country.
So we got it. We got one.
Well, when I had a horse 5 years ago, it was 75 a day with the country trainer, plus the pluses, still 3,500 a month. God knows if you're paying 200 a day. Jesus.
And most of these people can't eat, DK. And now you got to run into the trouble with all these interest rates and other, things in life. What's the first bill that goes to the side? And that's the trainer that cops that. I got a little trainer mate who's, he's got 30 in work. He's owed 150 at all times. It's a lot of money, for a little operation.
I'm tipping if lettuce has gone up, horse chaff will be next to go up too. I tell you what's going down. That was Manscaped. Manscaped, you can get 20% off if you use the Little Birdie code and the Weed Whacker. I tell you what, if you're keen to make a first impression, Walt, you just want to put one of these up the beak beforehand. There's nothing worse when you just like close combat with a guy or a girl and there's just nose hair coming out. So the Weed Whacker's great, and so's the lawnmower for a full body.
And I'll tell you what, with energy prices, while we're going on this subject, with them going up, I've never seen anything, mate. It lasts for like a month. I've never seen anything like it. You can run it off like 10 minutes on the charge, on the fast charger. Yeah,
it is good. The battery life's good. And I tell you what, my legs are still in amazing nick post Hamilton Island shave down. So the lawnmower is very good. I'm not going to show you. I'm in tracksuit pants. I'm not pulling my pants up or down. Today's show, I tell you what, Tommy Turbo Henjak, he's back. We called it political debate, Gypsy Guide S. He's back in business, and it's Group 1 Stradbroke this weekend. The other point I notice how the POC Tax went through the same week of the Stradbroke. So you got all this noise, all this positivity about their biggest race, and then you just slide the little POC Tax through in the same week. So most people don't see it even coming. It'd be like putting up a new tax in Melbourne Cup week. Anyway, side note, Mugs Moral, he had no dice last week with Wicklow. And the mystery vegetable on his plate was Swedes. It's a white, creamy, peppery type of, sort of like a potato, but different. I've never had it in my life. DK, this would be your vintage. You ever had a Swede?
No.
The veggie?
I had no idea what you were talking about. I'd never heard of it.
I think it's before DK. That's a 70s vegetable.
60s, 50s.
The Swede. Oh.
Before my vintage. What do you have it with the corned beef, wasn't it? Do you have it with the corned beef?
Yeah.
corned beef's from the 1950s as well.
It was a bit bizarre to look at. I worked at the Backpackers for a couple of years, so not the Swede that I was accustomed to. Johnny Walter, you got wrong wallet. I suggested it last week that Osipenko. I had no idea about that horse.
I had something. I made a trial like an absolute rocket, and it was weird. Like, obviously, jockeys
when the money
away.
came, you started to nibble at
the jockeys are away, so Josh doesn't ride from that often. He hadn't trialled or whatever, and it's not normal for him to be, but like good ride or whatever. So it wasn't a negative having JP on, but just sort of hard to get a line on it because it didn't have J Mac on it or whatever. But trialled up really nice, and mate, it was going backwards on the turn. Then it's gone like it just that's stable. Like they're either the ultimate genius Kaiser Soze stable, or they go around with blinkers on at all times because that horse is a serious horse and it can't go around 20 to 1.
They're getting hard. They used to be really easy to catch the Wally Yard, and I think they're just getting harder and harder and more confusing.
I think their patterns are better, like and maybe the wet tracks have sorted them out. Like they've had to sort of give their horses, little breaks between runs and stuff. I'm kind of think I'm getting a handle on it, which is probably really dangerous because then I'm going to start to chime into them more and do my balls.
TopSport Steamers, they might have a couple of interesting bets or some that I like this week. And then Nico Noonan, he's back after a horror watch on Cardinal Gem last Saturday. That was disgusting. It landed in the absolute grouse. I'm tipping Nico would have been punching buttons in play, thinking, hello, we've got a result here, and then no room and just typically cactus.
Yeah, no good.
It's in the ways are going to be 20%. You know, it's in the back of the mind with that horse, though,
Yep.
isn't it? He's that sort of horse. And I was just on that road. They went slow too. Like they've charged home. You know, it's just
Sick beat.
Yeah.
Graham Pope was the same, sort of never got out, top of the straight, flashed home, quickest sectionals nearly of the day. Yeah, it was a tough day out at Flemington. Still won somehow, managed to still get the nose in front.
What about that thing? What did you see? Country's Light? I tipped it in a maiden there at Cranbourne the other week, and Froggy just sat last on it. Had blinkers and everything. I thought, got a good Froggy will get going at the 800 and can round this lot up, you know. First be fit. No, it just sat out the back, Jojo. Goes to Flemington, second up, 2,000 metres, 150 to 1.
1 second.
Runs second, beaten 3/4 of a length. Unbelievable. Anyway.
Nice little segue into Swan Hill. Nico's found a best on Friday. So they got
Have you?
a carnival. So they got Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Swan Hill. So
Topaz.
fantastic
Curry?
racing there. Pardon?
All right.
No.
Where you looking?
Swan Hill Race 6, Eagles Crag is favourite here. Odds courtesy of TopSport, $3.30. Mr. Pickwick, $6. Volatore, $6.50. Confrontational, $7. Spanish Schnitzel, $7.50. The Brumby, $7.50 and $21. The rest, we're going to have a look at Eagles Crag first up. Raji Alexander in the OTI colours. Nico.
Well, I was sick of the wet track, so I thought we might as well try find a good track, and it's going to be at Swan Hill sort of all throughout the carnival. This Eagles Crag first up, had Jamie Carr aboard, sort of needed a run there at the top of the straight, gets it, flashes home. This was sort of against the pattern of the day. You wanted to be sort of up on speed near the rail, and he sort of flashes home here late. A horse who's had a lot of ability throughout his career. Like he started $2.90 against Mr. Brightside last prep. He's had sort of 5 or 6 runs here in Australia. He's won most of them. I think coming to this race second up, the winkers go on here, and also the crossover noseband comes off. He's a little bit keen in the run there, so I think with that noseband off, that was the first time they put it on in Adelaide, so I think he might revert to his old ways of just settling really well. Gets onto a dry track, which is where most of his best ratings are. He ran to nearly a career peak there first up, so I'd be expecting if he holds that rating, it'd be pretty hard to beat in a race like this, and he gets a very easy run here from barrier number 5. There's not much speed, probably just camps in behind him. Declan Bates and Archie, profitable combo for their entire sort of careers when they've combined. For over 400 rides, they're still profitable, so he's a bit of a go-to man for the stable. So, look, I think this is probably one of Archie's banner horses. He's sort of racing him through the grades and getting the prize money up at the moment, but I think in time he'll be easily a Saturday class horse, and I don't think there's that much opposition here. Maybe Spanish Schnitzel, who gets a fair bit of weight off him, does have to carry the apprentice, but is trained by Con Kelly, local trainer, so I'd imagine
You'd say it's been set for the carnival. It is about 15th run for the prep, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
It's... but it just finds the line. It's a real nice horse. Like, just to try it.
Line chase. It doesn't really out of turn, but I think it's maybe $8. He might be the danger that sort of chimes in late and might be having a look at us given we got the big weight, but I think he should just be too good for him here. Eagles Crag.
Beautiful. Nico, he loves it. Race 1 or just a Friday little special, $3.30 to kick everyone's weekend off with a winner. Saturday at Sandown, we're going to have a look at race 8 for Nico's next best, and Sig Positano is the favourite here. I think Nico might have knocked it off pre-show. 460 into 420, Jigsaw 550, B Hunter 6, Ungawa 9, Turbio $12, Ascension is $12 and the same price for Heathcote. Let's have a look at Sig Positano from the Paddy Payne yard last start in the purple. Nico.
Yeah, we're on 2 starts ago. Jumped off this day. He was set a big task. Again, a day where he sort of wanted to be up on speed, and he sort of sat wide and had to come around and run home some really good closing sections relative to the day. Charges the line here. This is over 1,200. His 3 runs this prep have been over 1,200. Now gets a 1,300. He's sort of one win last campaign, come at 1,400. So I think he's definitely probably looking for that extended trip. Great run. He's been running on, good 4, soft 5 this preparation. Now gets to a heavy 9. He's a horse who originally came from New Zealand, and he has a very good record on wet tracks. So I think that's the big bonus for him here, getting onto the heavy 9. There's a few horses in this race that are, well up to it, like Jigsaw, who was in that replay there, B Hunter. But I think the big advantage for Sig Positano is just getting on that real wet track. He's had 4 goes on heavy tracks for 2 wins and a third. So I think that's the massive tick for him here. He's going to need a pretty good ride from Billy. He is riding well. Seem to not be able to catch him at the moment. Whenever I sort of tip him, he rides second or third and can't sort of get on the right end of him. But he's got a pretty good book there on Saturday, so he might have his tail up early in the day, ride a few winners, and can be riding full of confidence. Paddy Payne, you just want to find him at the moment. So
do you what?
Yeah,
Jesus.
it looks a pretty easy.
Where's it drawn? Drawn to get back and run on? Is it?
It's drawn 4, so I think
is it?
they
Well,
might. I think out to 1,300, he's not a horse who is. He doesn't have to just sit last. Like they
No, he
can
doesn't.
put him
No,
in the race.
and he's got a good turn of foot. I think didn't he win at Pakenham that night, and he accelerated really well, really strongly through him. You know, so I think 4's a good draw. You know, suck and accelerate through.
Drops in the weight too.
Suits
Gets
him.
to 56.5 after carrying 59.5 against some key rivals. They're all sort of intertwined. Like he got beat by B Hunter first up this prep, who's in this race, and Jigsaw beat him last start, who's the second favourite. But massive ticks the wet track. So really tough day at Sandown. I didn't really find much at all, to be honest. It was him or Gate Crash, and I lent his way just because he has a bit more exposure on the wet ground.
Outstanding. I sort of like that. And Nico's playing around the horses that he knows really well. So Sig Positano to knock off Jigsaw, and there's a little bit of early market support at TopSport, which is great. Nico just rattled off some puntingform.com.au stats. So if you're looking for jockey and trainer combos and you want to take your form to the next level, make sure you check out puntingform.com.au. And Sugar Shane Baker, he is an absolute legend. He'll take you through the punting form program if it's all looking like Chinese to you, and he'll simplify it for you. So he'll do a free tutorial if you sign up there. So make sure you get around punting form. Tommy Turbo, he's been on the bench here. He'd be nice and warm at the moment. He's been in the background for about 15 minutes, and I'm expecting a big display from him on Group 1 Stradbroke Day.
He's got a prison shirt on this week. He's in prison jail this week.
Following your steps, mate.
Looks like he's had a haircut for the Straddy. He might. How'd you go? Did you have a date with that trainer a couple of weeks ago?
Carolyn Jennings? No, I didn't find her.
Couldn't find her?
No, I was at Gallopers after, and she didn't show up.
What's Gallopers?
Unfortunately. Oh, it's the bar pub down the road from the race course that everyone goes to. Goes off after.
Does it?
Goes off like a frog in a sock.
I thought it was Cloudland that everyone got to, but that's probably a bit later, is it?
Nah, it's Gallopers. And then Johnny Ring goes after.
There's a bit of mail going around unless you're a strapper, trainer, or an owner. Turbo doesn't want to know you at the moment. So that might suggest why he's been heading out to Gallopers.
Loves a participant.
That's very pointed mail too. Let's speed the show along and have a look at the JJ Atkins interesting market here. Sharp and Smart is the favourite, 1,600 metre race for 2-year-olds. Chris Waller usually targets this and has a stranglehold on it. But Sharp and Smart, 6 into 440. Political Debate, 460. Tommy found it last week, fell in over the favourite there. She's a belter. The ex-Perth horse, the Luke Fernie product. So Terry Layton knows all about this horse. $4.80. Owen County, 11. Brereton, $12. Lethal Thoughts, 13. Basquate is 15. In from 26. Good move there. Brosnan, 15. Twin Stars 21 and Green Shadows 31 probably rounds out the chances there. We're going to have a look at a couple of lead-ups and we'll get Turbo to talk about these. She's the belter in the black with the white hat coming down the outside. Sat 3 wide this day. What do you think of this, Turbo?
Yeah, it was a solid win. I think it was kind of entitled to run on with the way Swiss Exile bowled along in front, but it's got a lot of ability, the horse. Put the riding on the wall at the Gold Coast for its first start in Queensland. It was just stuck. I think it was really gluey conditions in the worst part of the track up the inside. So there was a lot of merit in that run. And then there was obviously a pretty spectacular win there last start over, I think it was 1,400.
Yeah, I thought Green Shadows wasn't a bad run in that race, but now it's drawn barrier 19. So Nash is going to have his work cut out for him there. Having a look at the other key lead-up is Political Debate and Smart and Sexy. So you've got Political Debate punching in the Coolmore colours, and then you got Smart and Sexy, which gets held up in the Rogerson colours. And there's nothing in it. And to my eye, I thought Smart and Sexy had won. Turbo?
Yeah, I was clenching downstairs heavily those last 50 metres. I thought, even on the line, I thought he got done. But the Team Rogerson horse, what is it called? Smart and Sexy, Smart and something, whatever. Sharp and Smart. It's actually been backed into favourite now, and I really don't think there's too much between them. I think the most important part of the race there last start was the first kind of 200, 300 metres. J-Mac with the inside gate, he was just trying so hard to hold a position, and Brad Stewart on one of Les Kelly horses just absolutely decked him at the start, and he was just jostling for a position the entire time, which you can that's the downside of having an inside gate at times. I really like that he's kind of drawn in that middle area this time, and I think the winkers going on is a huge positive. I just like the jumps this horse has been making every time. He's still very green and just very progressive. So I'm actually going to side with Political Debate, even though the Kiwi horse was taken ground off him late there at 1,500 last start.
Anyone got some colliding opinions here? John, you've said a lot this show.
I think they're very short, both the favourites. I think, like, even Chasing Artney was a bit unlucky in that race. I think that was the horse that decked him at the start. And I'm probably the one behind the move on Basquet, 26 to 15. I was happy to back Basquet to beat him if they went head-to-head in a maiden at the start of last week. And gate one, Timmy, like, bobbing right behind him. I'm happy to take 26 to beat the Political Debate again. Roger's horses. Looks like he drew a soft gate, didn't it, this time too?
It's 5.
Yeah, and so I would expect it to settle
big
far.
spruik.
Yeah, like I'd probably mark Political Debate double, sharp and smart on Saturday.
Yeah, I had a good look at this race sort of last week in review, and I don't know, I think we've been sort of talking about the 2-year-olds, how none of them are any good. I think we saw a few smart ones last week. These two, the horse we're talking about at the start of the show, Osipinka, is it? The Waller horse. So I don't know. To my eye, these two look the real deal. Political Debate and Sharp and Smart. I'd be surprised if anything was beating them, and I think Sharp and Smart will turn the tables on Political Debate. May settle closer from the draw. Win in New Zealand was enormous over the mile. Looks like he's better suited getting to 1,600 than Political Debate. You get Huey.
Bowman's airborne, just
like
quietly.
He's flying. I think I'm a bit sick. I didn't take $6, but I still might chime in. I think he's pretty smart, Sharp and Smart.
She's a belter. No
Pen
love
job.
for
No good.
the filly.
Nah, yeah, I think the lead up's the one that we saw last week on the 7-day backup. That's the race, I think.
I'd be interested to see how Green Shadows goes. I thought it was a knockout place chance at $7. I think I'd just.
I reckon you'll pick it up on Inglis in about 6 months, getting it ready for the Britannicus hurdle follow-up.
Oh, you're so nasty. There was no intent from it last start, so I'd expect it could improve. But, the draw, as I said, cools my hopes a bit there. Let's have a look at the Group 1 Stradbroke so Johnny can put more manure on me. And look, this looks like a massive move here in the Stratty, and it's for the Greg Hickman trained 11-11. Are you responsible for this, Walt?
I think you need a horse that's going to run a mile in this race. They look like they're absolutely going to fly, and 11-11 doesn't strike me as a horse that wants a mile, so it's definitely not me.
$8.50 into $5.50 favourite, 11-11. Ayrton, $7, out from $4.60. Alligator Blood, $10, in from $12. Apache Chase, $11. Isotope, $11. Private Eye, $14, in from $21. Rothfire, $16. Soxagon, $16. Valana, $17. Frankie Pino, unlikely to get a start, $20. Lord of Indices, $20. Star Tontes, $26. Brooklyn Hustle, $31. And you got horses like I Am Superman, Emerald Kingdom, Buffalo River, and that probably rounds out the chances there. Let's go through, similar to how we played the Atkins. Firstly, look at the BRC Sprint, Soxagon, Alligator Blood, Buffalo River. Tycoonis was the car crash that you tipped, Tommy.
Yeah, it was not good watching J-Mac. Just got a little bit lost at the start, but Tycoonis goes around earlier in the card. Didn't make it into the field. Talking about the speed map here, Walt thinks is going to be pretty hectic pressure. Like the two main lead-ups, the BRC Sprint and the Kingsford Smith Cup, they were both run on this day, a fortnight ago. And they didn't go too hard in front in both of those races. And those same pool of horses are coming into this race. So whether they go really hard in front, I'm not too sure. You'd think being a strategy that there'd be some kind of pressure. And Apache Chase does look your leader alongside Buffalo River. And you'd think that Apache Chase, after the run that he got...
Just have a look at who's riding Buffalo River this time and whether she'll be able to hold it.
She's one of your favourites, isn't she?
Can't ride, mate. She'll go 1,000 miles an hour.
King?
Not one of yours?
No, she's all right. She can win races by doing it, but not Stradbrokes.
So you can just see 11-11 weaving through there, and Law of Indices hits the line okay. But
out of this race, like if there was going to be one, I think Laws of Indices is a big price. We finally saw him going onto a good track, and he was caught wide in that race there, and I thought he hit the line really well. And I think it goes from, is it R King to J-Mac? The tricky thing for Laws of Indices is the gate and how far he gets back to from there. But if the pressure goes on up front, I think he runs as Walt said, he will run a mile, and he'll be really strong late. 11-11 just seems a little bit under the odds for mine now. I think it was $10 before the barrier draw, and then he's drawn barrier 4 or whatever. what has he drawn? Where is he? What's his name? Oh yeah, 5. Sorry,
5. Yeah.
Yeah, he's drawn barrier 5. He's still going to get back in the run. Like he drew 2 in that race that we just watched. He's still going to be getting back in the run. Concede he's absolutely flying and whatnot, but just $5 seems under the odds for mine.
I think the key to law of indices is the dry tracks. I think this horse has been absolutely airborne and hit all these heavy tracks.
Got cactused in Sydney, did it? Just got the full pineapple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the horse.
Yeah, so I can.
You can't knock him at the price.
No, not at all. No. So you have to make law of indices a winner. And the other lead up here is the Fred Best. So this is for the younger horses, the 3-year-olds. You got Villana in the Godolphin colours, and then you got Star Tontes, who was a little bit unlucky, but I guess the negative with Star Tontes is now that loses Jamie Carr and gets Taylor Marshall back on board versus a horse like Villana.
Who rode Villana here?
Clippo, and then now it's Steph Thornton, which I think Steph might suit this horse. There is
it's a fair jockey downgrade, I think, from because Clipperton's obviously airborne as well at the moment. Steph's struggling in Metro Brisbane. I guess this is the great thing about the handicap races. These 3-year-olds, they get down on the low weights and make a race of it. But yeah, I'm not really sure on the strength of the Fred Best going into a race like this. If Villana might have its supporters, it's going to get a nice run. It's down in the weights and it's got a little bit of upside, I guess. But for me, I'm not really sure on that form line and not a big fan of the jockey change either.
It's not a vintage Stradbroke, is it, though?
That's my concern with it. It just looks like it's...
You know what that kept coming back to? Number 1. It's the only horse in the race that's actually runs a mile and is a potential weight for age horse and maybe Alligator Blood, and he's had the worst prep in the history of racing. And
good run last start.
It was enormous, and he's drawn horrible again if he has a bit of luck. But Jesus, Private Eye's going to run a race if it gets a run from gate 1.
Tommy, who you got on top?
Or
who do you want to back?
Well, I'm going to have something on Emerald Kingdom just because it's going to get the suck run in behind him. I thought it was a pretty credible run last start, and it's massive odds. Going to have something obviously on laws of indices, and I'm actually going to go back to, oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going back to Isotope. They reckon it's had some issues. The physios got to it. And yeah, they've sorted those problems out that have hindered at this preparation. And from the gate, it's just going to get the suck run with Willie Pike on board now as well. Fair upgrade, Maloney to Pike down in the weights. Pike's absolutely owning them here in Brisbane as well, which you wouldn't think I would have been saying 2 years ago or whatnot, that Pike would be coming over here and destroying the competition. But they're kind of ones for mine. I'm kind of happy to take on 11-11 and especially Ayrton. Not sure what price it ends up. It's second favourite at the moment, but expect Ayrton to probably be starting in double figures, I think.
Minimum.
Yeah, the draw kills it. Any tips out of Melbourne? I know DK loves these wide open handicaps.
He's been half asleep.
Ask me how many races I've watched for the Brisbane Carnival. Go on, Nick. Ask me.
Well, he didn't watch Zaki the other day, so I'm assuming that hasn't changed.
Well, rhymes with hero. 0.
Yeah. What about when I found my first winner in 10 years, got Zaki beat? He didn't even know Zaki got beat, let alone the thing I tipped won.
How'd Aravine go the other day? I didn't even say how to run her off.
Nah, didn't have a lot of luck. But, yeah, didn't set the world on fire.
Nico, you got a pick here?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm going to back the best horse in the race, Alligator Blood. If he can get anywhere near back to his best, he is a proper Group 1 horse, and I think the figure he put up first up is suggesting he is somewhere near that level. 21, I reckon down the middle is going to be real suited there. We saw a lot of horses get back and make a lot of ground sort of last carnival, and I think it might sort of be tending to shift that way. And I was with Walt. I thought Private Eye's in the game. He might need the Linton run. I don't know if you watched that Stradbroke, DK.
I remember Linton very well.
Sucking up along the fence. He might need that sort of...
That was the famous day John Sadler went off the thing. This is a good story. They set one up for Swan Hill, right? I was at Swan Hill this year. They set up a first starter, and then when Phil Sly, the big punter, and they were getting on. They had bowlers everywhere. Phil Sly was getting on hundreds of thousands on these things. Sads just kept taking them up to Swan Hill and dry tracks. They went, they had a fortune on this thing. And Under the Louvre or something beat it. And so Sadler's was like $5 into evens, and Under the Louvre was evens to $5, and Under the Louvre beat it. And then the same day, that was on the Saturday, Linton went and won the Group 1 at whatever price, and Sadler never had $1 on it.
60.
He had 20,000 of his own on the thing at Swan Hill, and not $1 on Linton, and it sent him off So I sent him off the rails for a while. But that was the day. Yeah, not a bean on it. Watched it get home after doing his.
We met Tristan the other day. So I was telling him a story about when the first time I had a bet with his dad. I used to come up here and bet for some blokes, and the first bet I had, I swear it was 40s, but it might have been 25. It was 25 plus. It was Royal Code having its first start in Melbourne. I had 1,000 each way it for a bloke. It's pissed in at 30s or whatever it is. His next bet's the whole lot, 30 on a thing at Zeltrice at $1.90 at Rosehill got rolled. did 2,000. Oh, Jesus. Lloyd loved it.
Absolutely fearless, Lloyd Merlin. So it's good that Tristan's carrying on the business, and Tristan's sister is also fearless bookmaker. She could be the most fearless out of a lot of them.
Sister?
Yeah, Letitia.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So it's just, they're absolutely riddled with it. And Tristan owns greyhounds. He owns everything. My pick here for the Stradbroke is Valana. I thought it was a huge effort off a bit of a layoff last time, and he just kept finding a way to hit the line, this horse. And I think 2 weeks between runs with 50.5 kilos, he'll sit in the perfect spot, this horse, and I think he can pinch this one, Valana, at $17. So
tell you what, if you're backing Valana, that replay we watched, Lock Eagle was the horse just charging home in the white down the outside. You got to be backing him.
Is that scary or not?
4.
That's what scares me. But yeah, I get Scoot's narrative.
If Lock Eagle was in the Stradbroke, I'd be backing him. I reckon they might have found the key to this horse, dry tracks, and setting him a bit of a task and making him run home. That was an enormous run last start. I'm keen. $5, guns in.
Yeah, there's been a lot to like in a few of Valana's tape, so I'm keen on it. I reckon it's crazy odds at $17, and I was like, well, I was like, yeah, this field is very poor.
If you say they're going to go quick, whether they do it or not, then a lot of those horses up front are vulnerable, and you're trying to pick off the horses that have got a bit of upside, going to sit just behind. And, I get where you're coming from, and then the class of Alligator Blood and Private Eye that have both got mile form are attractive as well.
It is. It's scary. A lot of these horses won't handle.
It's a good race. It's not a good race, but it's a great betting race.
If you can find there's value, if you can find it. That's what Super Multi Tip says.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I love it. He goes, have 200 on this, and if it doesn't win, deposit more for the multis or something. I just love him. He's a champion.
Absolutely beautiful. Thanks, Turbo. You've been electric, and he's given you a couple of tips where to go for a drink after the race as well. So fingers crossed he can get a couple of winners there. Political Debate he's sticking with, and then he's going wide. Emerald Kingdom, Laws of Indice, and then he's sticking with Isotate, a little bit of stable mail there. Oh, fantastic stuff. Feels like we've been on for about 4 days here, and it's time to look at Randwick. Walt, you reckon you found one in race number 2? I love that you got wallowed last week. It made me very, very happy there.
And it's sick that you found it by act of God, by scanning your name down, and it had Josh on it and everything. It was just the daggers. There was daggers thrown from everywhere.
I did 30 seconds on the race.
Yeah.
Randwick race 2, the Schweppes Handicap, 1,100 metre race, and it's for 2-year-olds. Amelia Rugmana is $4 favourite. Midnight in Tokyo, $4.80. Yankees, $5.50 in from 6. Vegas Raiders, $6.50. Forecast of $12. And that rounds out the single-figure chances. And we're going to have a look at Yankees first up, win on debut. Sitting outside leader here in the white with the purple colours.
It was an advantage to sort of be up there on this track, which it can be. But this horse had sort of trialled quite green and shown a little bit. The mother was a very good horse. He's by American Pharaoh. But I just love that he's got really good natural speed. He's completely got no idea what he's doing here. You can see he changed his leg about 3 times down the straight. And he's still surging through the line after sort of sitting outside the leader on a fast tempo. They ran good time, and he's done it pretty easy. I love the draw that he's got on Saturday, and that he's going to do something very similar. And the drying track will suit him. He's going to be up there, and it's going to take a good horse to beat him. And what I like about the race itself is there's just a lot of sort of one-pace, strong horses. I don't think it's a weak race, which is somewhat dangerous. But I think this horse is the fastest horse in the race, and they're going to have to sort of get out there and chase him down. And horses like, Midnight in Tokyo, Forecaster, they're strong sort of wind-up horses, and I'm hoping this bloke's sort of off and gone by the time he gets to him. And I've had no luck with Reece Jones of late, but 52.5 on his back and this horse just going forward. I think the worst thing he could do is probably go a little bit quick on him, and this horse looks pretty like one-paced and strong. So I don't mind that on this horse. He should cart across with Inequality, Winona, hopefully sit outside her, put her away, and whatever it is, $6 or something. I think that's a good price for a nice progressive horse.
All right, I like that. I love that you found Reece Jones. So
So do I.
This horse must have some serious ability. If you found
first 4 races, I think I found Reece Jones on Saturday.
He could have a really big day.
In some way, shape, or form. When I'm like, anyway, we'll get there.
I guess what doesn't in there for Reece Jones. It's time for Mugs Moral.
Oh Jesus.
Hi guys, Mugs Moral this week. It's going to be a quick and sharp one because the Mug wants to go get comfortable to watch the biggest game of the year in New South Wales, but you Victorians don't give a rat's ass about Origin. So boys, the Mug's going Randwick, race 8, the feature race of the day. The listed Bob Charlie Stakes, he's going with Mr. Mosaic. The Jewel and Sterling Alexia runners, you have to get them first up and second up. Good barrier 7, Reece Jones, 1100, good record over the 1100. Second up form, very good. Ran very good in Hortensia, just getting 0.15 lengths to Volpine. He has also ran good last start in Brisbane. Over the 1100 should be good. This race has fallen apart with 2 scratchings. You got Dragonstone backing up from a run in Melbourne. I don't like that. 1 week run in Melbourne, then travel back to Sydney, then run again. Prime candidate. Don't know where that is going. So I think it's also nominated for Brisbane. So boys, this week's Mugs Moral is Randwick race 8, number 2, Mr. Mosaic. So boys, good luck, and when you find a winner, you go find your bookie. Good luck.
Outstanding. He's gone a deep dive there. He's talking about horses against the wrong sort of setups. This is the Mug I like. This is when I press. I
like it.
And he's got Reece Jones.
Last week. The one disclaimer this week, I do like, this horse is a Rosehill horse. He's a horse that sort of loves to find the rail and hates getting off it. And sometimes the rail's a bit smelly at Randwick. Hopefully it'll be dried out enough for him. But he's right. Like, it's the race is definitely falling apart. Yeah, all right. Good luck.
Is the Mug due for contract negotiations, Scoot, or something? Because he has, in just the last few minutes, he has sent out a tweet. Any bookmaking companies or racing stables want to send a Mug some warm jacket. I will promote your business.
Well, the Hulk must be wearing out. I see you've got the matching on today.
I've got the matching Mug jumper on.
Yeah.
It's outstanding. The bookie smash.
The Mug needs some warm clothes for when he's on the beat. I mean, does he have to wear the...
Mate, he's got the mint bet jumper.
AP.
He's a bit of a brand, WHORE, our Mug punter. But no, he's still in a stable. He's locked up. We've done a 5-year deal. That's the normal way to do things. As Nico Noonan would know, he's on a 5-year contract with us that we pinched him on. So that's why Nico's with Little Birdie. Can you imagine trying to sign someone for a 5-year deal in a tipping service?
5-minute deal is too long in a tipping service, isn't it? Especially at the moment. Like,
TopSport. Let's get around race 8, number 2, Mr. Mosaic, and hopefully Reece Jones can ride 7 or 8 winners or however many. Let's get him home, Waltz man. But now I'll have a look at TopSport Big Bets. I've opened the checkbook here. Race 8, number 17, Villano. Whoever's had this is a genius. 700 at
Mate, you've got a good account there, haven't you? Hey, getting on to win. What is it?
Green lit.
7,060. Oh, Jesus,
TopSport booster.
You're getting on nice.
The booster button. Hopefully out of POC Tax, I don't take out that booster. Or that booster. little squeeze of the odds. Little turn of the board. Thank you, Lloyd. Race 5, number 9 is Shakiro. 1,000 at $12. Race 5.
It's a Waller special.
Yeah, another Waller special. That's our Waller man that just always bets there early.
Might be right.
In those funny colours.
Might be Big Richie.
Who?
Big Richie, Big RC.
Wouldn't have 1,000. Wouldn't have 1,000.
After he tipped the last winner yesterday, he might be back.
Would not have 1,000 to bet with. No chance. Eagle wouldn't be allowed to have 1,000 on. Eagle Farm Race 7, number 16. She's a belter, 2,000 at $4.80. So
why didn't you just have the double, Villana into She's a Belter, you weak dog?
Not my ticket. I'm starting to get nervous about She's a Belter.
Mate, I'm on one at Mackay today for more than the race is worth off a $50 multi yesterday. I'm sweating up. Mackay race 6. What's it called? Chase the something. First up.
$4 chance.
Yeah, God give it strength. Where are we? Hang on.
Go on.
It's a big day. What's it called? Chase the Rainbow? No, that was a horse that...
It's first up. Cutting Loose.
Cutting Loose, that's it.
Cutting Loose.
Hopefully it will be Cutting Loose.
380.
380. God give it strength.
All right. So if you want more of Walt stuff, head into the Racing Watch chat. It's very entertaining stuff out there. And if you like betting, it's definitely a nice little place to hang out. Also join our Discord channel. Top Rope Tedeschi tipped up Cam Munster last night, $9. Thank you very much. And he was all over the Plus Queensland. So
does he do that hair? Does he get the haircut just to put the opposition off? They look at him and can't take him serious, or what does he do?
Yeah, he looks like the Joker, or
he rolled into the golf club buddy thing the other day. I'm like, who's this? Oh no!
Munster.
Oh my god!
Because they did the camp up near your place.
Yeah, they were all in there on Sunday.
What were you going to get? The little cards, little chewing gum cards signed, were you?
No. So I used to play when Thurston. They used to come up a lot. Thurston's a sicko golfer, so I used to play with him a bit. He was said hello to him. The rest of them, I duck and weave.
Mm. You know, I saw a little bit of Billy Slater after the match, and he said, you know what, all I told him to do was believe, and that's what they did. They just need a little bit of belief. And
you can imagine he'd be an awesome coach, though, because he's so enthusiastic, and he was a good thinking footballer. You can imagine that he's a bit of breath of fresh air off some of the old ducks that probably a bit plain. And
it'd be the opposite of you then. He's positive. He believes.
I'm positive. I'm negative. Is that positive? I tell you, they forward that Carrigan and that they had to go. Like it was good to watch the contest. It wasn't much of a game for mine, but it was a good contest.
If you're having a rough trot on the punt, all you have to do is believe and get back to the basics. So I took a little bit out of Billy Slater's coaching. Thanks, Nico and DK down there. Good luck on Swan Hill. Should be happy hunting ground. There's so many races to bet on this weekend.
Swan Hill with a little Casterton on the side on Sunday, Nico. So
it seems right up your alley.
Yep, no. Shame we're not up there, but anyway, I used to love going to Swan Hill, but we'll get back there for sure. It's a great carnival.
We'll find a way for sure. All right, that's the end of the show. I think we've tapped out for over the hour there, but jump onto Little Birdie Live if you want any of the boys' products, Racing Watch as well, and make sure you support TopSport, who are fighting the good fight for us punters who are trying to turn over as much as we can and bet our absolute brains out. Okay, that's a wrap from us.
Yes.
See you next week. Good luck on the strategy.